Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Divergent Comics podcast. Today, I am interviewing the creators of the Superguy comic. This is a comic because I followed Anthony at least for the last 2, maybe 3 years on social media.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
been
I
a
found
while.
him. Yeah, I think I found you initially through TikTok.
Oh, really?
I
That's
think
interesting.
so.
Nice.
It was either there. It was either there or on Threads. It was one of those two. But I know I found because you have a podcast and
Yes.
usually you'll share your clips and things like that. And that's where I saw you first, and then I started following your YouTube channel. Then I listened to your podcast, and then it just kind of spiraled from there.
Oh, that's so awesome. See, those are all paths that I'm surprised. Like that's such but in a great way because it's
Yeah.
TikTok, I don't post nearly as much as I should. I
Same.
kind of got into it so late in the game. And Threads is so new, and the YouTube channel, I don't even pay attention to. So I'm so glad at least people are listening on there. So all of those are like, oh, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's funny because usually the way my algorithms are set up, I get a lot of either really small creators or relatively new creators to show up on either my TikTok or on my thread. So usually I can find a gem where most people aren't looking.
Nice.
But yeah, so kind of seeing what you do in regards to your podcast really made me want to stay connected and see how you go about your journey, because I think you had initially announced doing the Superguy comic at one point, and I was intrigued. I was like, okay, he's doing a comic now, so let's see where this goes. And you did the Kickstarter for it. I vaguely saw your promo for it. I think I saw you promote the pre-launch page or something.
Uh-huh.
And then I immediately just followed it, and then I got the email that it went live, and I think a week later I backed it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And I got the comic and I read it. I was like, oh, this is fun. And at the time when it came out, I didn't have any openings on my podcast to do any interviews at that point. But when you mentioned that you wanted to have interviews for the upcoming book, I was like, okay, I got to find a way to make sure he's on here. And it worked out perfectly because you're launching your second Kickstarter for Superguy 2 at the beginning of the year in February, which works out perfectly because when you were initially doing the promo for it and asking for people to interview was around mid to late December. And at that time I was just getting ready to start booking my guests and stuff. So it kind of worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have you guys on here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for taking the time. But yeah, I was really trying to get ahead of this as far as possible, and knowing that as a podcaster too, getting people ahead of time is probably the best way to go. Because everyone's making their schedule at the beginning of the year, so it kind of lined up perfectly, and I'm glad it did. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's not a problem. So usually I don't go on and on and on like that to introduce, but I had to kind of set the stage for people because usually when I bring someone on, especially at the beginning of the year, when I first started doing this, I had people on that I had been following for years but never really interacted with or anything like that. And so this is kind of one of those unique situations where we've had interactions. I've had the opportunity to read your stuff and kind of see where this was going. And we get a look, I guess it's a little bit more personal in this regards because of the fact that I've been able to follow your journey so far. So it's really great. And the fact that, initially it was just going to be, I was going to have just you on, and then you were able to get Joey on, which is even better because I think this is going to be only the second time I've had the writer and artist on for a book. So it's kind of a historical moment at this point.
Nice.
Second is the best, as they say.
Yeah. If we want to, Joey, if you want to introduce yourself and kind of tell us about your career as a artist and everything,
Sure.
and then Anthony, you can kind of go from there as well.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Alaska. I moved down here to Los Angeles, where I am now, a little over a decade ago. I've been drawing literally ever since I can remember. Like I don't remember a time when I wasn't, like sketching on something, doodling on something. I just always had like some kind of implement of drawing in my hand and some kind of paper pad or whatever. But I never really gave it much thought as a career until like maybe my late 20s ish, when I was just like, oh, people, like, I started like posting my art more heavily on Instagram. And people were like, oh, like, can you draw my dog, or can you draw my family and do this? And I'm like, oh, I can get money for doing this. Like, I always knew that it was a thing, but like it never clicked that like that was even an option.
It doesn't
for me.
seem real until it actually
just
becomes
like,
real.
oh damn, like what? And then fast forward a couple years, Anthony sees my artwork. He decides that I'm the perfect guy for the job of Superguy, and here we are. So it's still kind of in the infancy as far as career goes, but you gotta baby steps. You gotta start somewhere, and it's been pretty good so far. I'm enjoying the journey.
I actually, I'm glad that you are the artist for this story. And I feel like Anthony could definitely speak to this even more. But I feel like when I'm reading this story and looking at the actual art behind it, it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Hell
And
yeah.
it feels like
Absolutely.
that art is the only art that could have worked for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I have to agree.
I would 100% agree too. I mean, Superguy is as much Joey's art as it is my writing. I think that's at least my viewpoint on it. Because I could write the lines, but I really feel like the characters come to life on the page when Joey's designs are there for them. It's part of their personality. It kind of bounces back to the writing. Even something so silly, like, so for like the interviews we've been doing, we're wearing like these Superguy robes, and they're so staticky, right? Like everything I touch, I'm like, I swear, like the other night I touched something, I had blue force lightning coming out. It was that much static. And I'm like, Joey, like this is happening with the robe. Like I got to find a way to incorporate it into the story, because if it's happening to me, it would happen to Superguy,
Yeah.
So just to say, like, it's not like I chose Superguy's robe design, like that's all Joey. A lot of details in the book that I think really make Superguy and Robot Guy and all the characters who they are come from Joey. So that's why, I mean, Joey's the co-creator, it's not just mine. And it can never, Superguy, I think, like you're saying, it, like we have other artists doing the art for Superguy, and I love their art, and I think Superguy could exist with different artists working on it, but it is Joey,
Yeah, you feel both of your personalities in this story, because I can feel the personality in the dialogue, especially when he's talking to Robot Guy, or I guess we should say Super Robot Guy at this point. But you can tell your personality and your comedy in that regards. But then when you see the subtle interactions, like the part in Superguy 1 that I think I kind of just was stuck on for a little bit was when he was in his apartment right after Robot Guy destroyed the meteor, and he was just sitting there kind of like half asleep, and what was it? I think it was like the aliens or something had showed up, and Robot Guy was getting ready to go and save people, and Super Guy was just kind of like laid on the chair saying, where's my grilled cheese? And he just had the cheese that hadn't been cooked or anything and thrown it into his mouth. It's like things like that I could say, okay, that's definitely an artist feeling very confident and empowered to draw in a way where it not only fits the dialogue but also shows off his own personality.
Yeah. I love that.
That was
scene.
a fun little sequence to draw. Like when he like slurps it into his mouth without like even touching it. Just
This is not.
That's also one of his
grilled
superpowers,
cheese.
is to slurp an entire slice of cheese in one go.
Oh yeah, that's great. We're going to definitely have to dive deeper into more about who Superguy is. But I want to know more about you two, because like I said, I've been following you, Anthony, for about a few years, and Joey, I just started following you. I want to say within like the last couple of days. So still relatively new
Excuse me.
to who you are as a creator and who you are as a person. But I guess my first question to you is, when did both of you decide that you, or when did you realize that you two loved comics?
Mine's more recent. Like I've always loved like the comic section of the newspaper and like, you know, like Calvin and Hobbes, Archie comics
Right.
and stuff like that. But it wasn't like maybe like the last decade ish when I first started like really kind of getting more interested, especially like our Anthony and I's mutual friend Jake, who's the co-host of the Comics and Chronic podcast. You know, like you hang out with him, you're gonna talk about comics, you know, at any point. But like, yeah, so like the more I was exposed to it, and especially with like the MCU and introducing characters that like I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, what is their, you know, backstory and lore, and just like kind of getting to know, you know, all the source material. That's really kind of helped my interest in comic books really grow over the last few years, and it's pretty cool. I really enjoy. Like I always liked it, but like now I'm just like excited about it, which is cool because there's a lot of good stuff out there.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Anthony?
For me, you know, I bought comics throughout my life, but like it was always here and there, and it was never something I was like always getting, right? It was just like I got some comics at a book fair. My dad would like get me random issues here and there, but it really wasn't until like high school. So I was graduating. It's around 2008. Marvel has Civil War, Annihilation, House of M. DC has Infinite Crisis, Identity Crisis. Like those big things are happening, and I'm just jumping into it like right there. Mostly it's because like my friends are like, hey, you know, you gotta. Not a lot of friends. Like I've never had a lot of people personally like in my close circle that loved comics. Everyone kind of dabbled here and there with like, you know, the cartoons or the movies. But I had a couple really close friends that like would tell me about the lore before I knew the lore, right? That's really what got me interested. One of my best friends, he's just a great storyteller, and he would just, you know, I think he started by telling me about like the Flash and like his whole backstory, and like I had always watched the cartoons growing up here and there, but like, I mean, I would watch all the cartoons growing up, you know, like you name it. Like we just, that was the golden age, right? And so like that informed a lot of like my background of knowing characters. Like for me, like I had no problem jumping into X-Men because of the movies and the animated series.
Yeah.
And that was just so easy to just, you know, like House of M is like a crazy storyline, but like I could still like, you know, like appreciate what was happening in there, you know?
Right.
And if I didn't know certain characters, okay, cool. That just fuel to like get me reading more. And that's what happened. Like I just kept reading more and more from all those, you know, starting points. And I'm not sitting in my room right now, but I like to post my collection. A lot of the, like, I haven't posted it in a while, but when I post it, like I make a big deal about it, but like I have a lot, right? So like, from that point, it exploded. Yeah,
it is very impressive. I like following. So one of my favorite things about following you is seeing your comic haul every week, because usually it's either like a really large omnibus and like a couple of graphic novels and some floppies, and then there are some instances where it's like, oh, I didn't get to go and do too much of a shopping spree this week, and it's like one omnibus and like a couple of graphic novels. I'm just like, dude, like, what are you talking about? But no, that's great. It's funny because I feel like I'm kind of in the middle between both of you in regards to my comics journey, and where like I didn't start actually reading comics until around 2014. That's when I read Static New 52, and that was the first comic I ever read.
Okay.
But like you, Anthony, I grew up watching the cartoons. I grew up watching the X-Men and Justice League and all that stuff. So it's cool to kind of see that balance and that correlation between you two. So what was the thing that made you two really realize or really think about coming together, joining forces, and making a comic?
I mean, as far as my end, like Anthony sought me out, so it was a pretty easy decision for me.
But I mean, like, so we did do the one shot, right? And that was like me and Joey knew each other. Like we were talking about through our friend Jake. He did art for the podcast. I loved it. He has art all over Instagram, and that's how like I really like appreciated what he did. You know, we worked on the one shot, but I think the decision to make, you know, Superguy 1, like that was going from 10 to 28 pages, and then after Superguy 1 to make the decision to like, you know, commit to a series. I think that was like not like, obviously it was always an easy decision. That was like the bigger decisions, and like the commitment to like Superguy, you know, like because for Superguy I could write a script and it's not going to take me the entire year. For Joey, it's going to take him a while to draw the comic, to color the comic, to letter the comic, you know, like, so it's always going to be more of a commitment for the artist involved in any project, you know, that's comics. So for me, it was always important to make sure like Joey was on board, and like, because it, like, you know, like this is, for me, it's both of our first series, you know, so like I want to make it shine as much as possible. And like you said before, Joey's art is what makes it, you know, right? So like it's like there's no other option. It's me and Joey or bust, you know, like, so like it's, I don't know, it's like I don't think about it too much because it's like Joey and me get along so well, like creatively and just like, you know, in real life we're buddies. But like in real life, of course, like the whole thing is real life. I always say that. But I don't know, like it's just so much fun, and like it was one of the things you said right away. Superguy is fun, and if we're not having fun and the comic doesn't feel fun, then maybe it could be like, all right, maybe this isn't working out. But I can't see that happening.
No, yeah, that's actually one of the best parts of it, knowing that it's essentially two best friends just kind of honestly just doing something that's really considered a hobby, but doing it to the extent of like being able to monetize it and get it out to people where you're building up a fan base.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome, actually.
Thank you. And that part's tough. Like it's so tough, you know, to build up like anybody to like even check it out. So like anybody that checks out Superguy, like that reads the one shot, the first issue, that's like been on board and is continuing the journey with us. That's, you know, it always surprises me. Like we're having fun doing this. But part of the Kickstarter is obviously because you can't make comics for free. So like
That's true.
that's how we keep it going. But like I love people that just read it and appreciate this story, you know?
Right.
Same.
So I know you two mentioned your friend Jake, who, like I said, I've listened to the podcast. I think the first episode, or not the first episode, but one of the episodes I really liked was when you all covered the Absolute Batman.
Oh,
Because
okay. That
I
was
hadn't
recent,
read
yeah.
it.
Oh, okay.
It. And so I was like, I gotta see what they got to say about it because I like y'all's opinions. And so I think Jake was the only one that was like, I think he was kind of down on it a little bit, but he wasn't like hating on it or anything.
Yeah.
So were all three of you always just kind of like real close friends, or was it like you were friends with Jake, Joey was friends with Jake, and then y'all kind of just met in the middle from there?
Yeah,
So-
kind of. You go ahead.
Oh yeah. Sorry. No, go ahead, Joey. Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, that's basically what Anthony knew Jake like on his own, but I knew Jake because we both live here in Los Angeles. And then like he asked me to do the logo for the podcast, and then that's just how Anthony and I connected. So it was just, you know, written in the stars.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
it was
because
kind of faded.
yeah, me and Jake met in a comedy program. We call it comedy school, I guess, but it always sounds so silly. But it was a comedy program in 2011. So me and Cody, our other co-hosts, who is the one who's like continuing his comedy career the hardest because he's a stand-up comedian. He tours the country. He does a bunch of shows with cool people. And we all met each other in that program. None of us knew each other beforehand, but I'm from, so me and Jake are both from New York. Jake's from New Rochelle. I'm from the Bronx, but Cody's from West Virginia. So Cody had moved to Brooklyn for a little while. And him and Jake, I think, hit it off first. And
Okay.
part of that was their love for comics. Like it always
That
comes
makes
back to
sense.
comics.
Yeah.
And of course I love comics, so that came up somehow. But we always just got along out of like a class of like, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 people, like
Mhm.
all people of different ages and backgrounds. Like this wasn't like real school. It was just like whoever
Yeah.
paid for the program was in there. And so we did like stand up, we did sketch comedy, we did improv, and we did acting classes. So
Oh.
that was like because like originally what I wanted to do was be a stand-up comedian or like write, like I was like, I'm gonna write for SNL, you know.
Okay.
Both things that were never destined to happen, obviously. But I always wanted to be a writer, and I always loved writing sketch comedy. That's something I pursued a little harder, like on YouTube and like with friends, just like doing stuff like that. But like we all clicked so much that like, you know, we always wanted to do something more together. But once the program ended, you know,
Mhm.
it like Cody eventually moved back to West Virginia. And we were all just, you know, we were young and we weren't like serious about like pursuing anything too much.
Right.
But like when the pandemic hit, it was like, all right, let's do something. And that was all Jake's idea. You know, we were all talking to each other, reconnecting really. I mean, I reconnected with so many people like in 2020 because everyone's
Right.
like stuck inside or doing something like, but anyway, Jake's like, hey, I have an idea for a podcast. Like, we love comics. We love smoking weed. Let's combine the two and call it Comics and Chronic. Like, that's all Jake, like 100%. You can never, like,
Nice.
that's credit goes to him. And I was kind of, you know, standoffish at first. I was like, I love the idea, but like, am I ready to like publicly be like, hey, I'm this huge stoner, you know? And I kind of embraced it, and I'm glad I did. I feel like some people are surprised by that too when they like find out like I'm even like someone that smokes.
Mhm.
Nowadays I don't do it as often. Definitely just edibles more, you know, like
Right.
but just like a weird journey, right? Like from the podcast, that's how I like got to know a lot of people in the comic book community. I was just
Mhm.
online more. And I feel like that's always so important to like making an indie comic. Like you need to build an audience or else no one's going to be there to like, you know, you got to support and like hope the support comes back, but you just got to support, right? Like that's,
Yeah.
you know, and like I think that could be done in a lot of ways. And like the way I discovered that was through the podcast. Like, you know, when I started to have more indie people on, I was like, I hope this is helping them, you know, like getting the word out, like what we're doing right now about a Kickstarter campaign, or a book that's already out, but like a lot of people might not have heard about it. But that's a lot of the case for even big two people or just like anybody, you know? So
Right.
I don't know. The journey to get to Super Guy took a while, but I'm glad like it happened because like I never knew, like I always wanted to write a comic. I've always been a writer, ever in screenplays, ever in short stories, things like that. But I never knew how like to get into comics. And if not for the anthology, which is the first Super Guy one shot, I really don't know like how it would have happened, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's actually talk about that one shot
Sure.
because I read it. Um, it ended very interestingly.
Yeah.
So, just a kind of brief overview: we meet Superguy in the big city, and one of the things that I find hilarious about the one shot, I read issue one before I read the one shot.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
So in issue one, Super Guy tells Robot Guy when they're fighting that he's had plenty of other sidekicks and they had short, meaningful lives. But then you meet him in the one shot, and since this is his introduction, it's kind of like this whole thing of okay, if he had these other sidekicks, where's at least one of them? And he's
Mhm.
trying to face off against this alien invasion, and that's where we first get to meet Robot Guy. And it was so funny how that whole situation occurred with the lightning and Robot Guy rebooting essentially. When you were drawing that specific scene, and I'm thinking about the scene when Super Guy is in the air and Robot Guy is holding him, and the lightning hits, and it reboots his system. But that specific scene where Robot Guy is holding Super Guy and the lightning hits is, I think, is so interesting. Kind of gave me a little bit of the Dark Knight Returns type of vibes in
Oh, kind
regards
of,
to
yeah, like the
right.
silhouette with the lightning bolt.
Exactly. Was
Yeah.
was that something that you were thinking about, or like when you saw
Um,
the description, was it just came about?
Honestly, I don't think that was even a conscious connection when I was doing it. I don't remember how, at this point, how detailed that part of the script was, but that's just how I saw it in my head. And I was like, yeah, that's it. First draft, final draft. Yeah.
So
Although I think at one point it started off like being like its own page, but then I don't know, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that the image itself, that's how I saw it in my head at the start.
it's a really sick shot.
Yeah, I love
Thank
it.
you.
I really love it. So, Anthony, when you were writing that whole scene in general, just that beginning from Super Guy just getting there and being the dickhead he is, to the point where they're getting electrocuted and Robot Guy gets rebooted. Were you like going that route to get to this point in issue 1 where Robot Guy decides he wants to be a hero, or was it just one of those things where you were writing that story and then you decided later on that this is the route you wanted to go?
That's a great question. I feel like, you can never be guaranteed a next issue, right? And I really had no idea. Like, I was hoping, of course, like I was saying before, like going from the one shot to issue 1 was kind of seamless. Like, me and Joey were just like, we had the conversation. Do you want to do this? Hell yeah, let's do it. Let's try for 28 pages. But I wasn't thinking that while we were working on the one shot. For me, it was just like, all right, let's get this one shot. Let's get it out. And we did it pretty quick too. That's what I like. What I remember is like, we not only like had the idea, but like the script was fast, and then Joey was like making those pages. Like, you were on fire, man. And like, it was both our first time doing it. It was our first time working together, but like, it was such a fun experience,
It really was.
So the one shot was really just like, let's make this the best we can. And so we had 10 pages. And that's why it's really crazy too, because it's like, it starts off, the president is calling Super Guy. His daughter has been kidnapped by aliens. The aliens are actually robots too. They're alien robots who are coming to take over the earth. And Super Guy is just a coward, So like everything also like needs to be funny. So like that sounds super dramatic, but it's also so dramatic that it's like, all right, it's kind of silly how dramatic it is. And that's how I want it to feel. But at the same time, it's a comic. So like, we're not held back by anything. It's like, if we want a fleet of UFOs, boom, there's a fleet of UFOs, which is what I love about comics. One of the best things about it. So for the 10 pages we had, in my head, it was like, let's go as big as we possibly can. So you're getting so much story in that as well. Like, yeah, okay, we're getting to that moment where someone who just came to invade Earth is now, boom, rebooted to help the superhero who didn't want to do anything in the first place, and he's destroying his own people, and now he's going to be this guy's sidekick. That's where it was almost like it's basically like a prologue to a bigger story, but like not with that idea in mind. Now that we continued after that, it becomes more like that, like in my mind, but at the time, no way. And so like, I wanted it to feel like if this was all we had, here's a satisfying story. Because at the end, Robot Guy's eyes flash red. So you're like, oh, maybe he's not really sidekick after all, And if that was all we ever did, I thought it was a cool cliffhanger ending,
And I like how with issue 1, we got a little bit of I guess really a kind of a taste of what happened in that one shot, because I think it was like towards the beginning of the story where Robot Guy was out saving the world because Super Guy was supposed to be showing up to a kindergarten class and being like the special guest or whatnot. And he ended up showing late and then just was being a complete and utter dickhead again.
Yeah.
I love the teacher. She was like stuck behind the desk asking for help or whatnot. That was cool. But seeing Robot Guy kind of have those flashbacks to that moment and then kind of like questioning himself and flickering his eyes between blue and red on whether or not he's a sidekick or a hero or a villain or whatnot. I think that was really good. And this just goes back again to like, in my opinion, that the art really like supplements the story to the next level, because the way that the panels just flowed. Okay, before I go any further on that, I have to talk about in the middle of issue 1, there's the double page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey, how hard was that to draw?
I mean, I don't. It wasn't hard in the sense of like it did take a lot of time because there was a lot going on. It took it definitely took at least 3, maybe 4 days, I think, from start to finish.
3 or 4 days. That's insane.
And like, not only like it's a great example of like, not only is it like my favorite part of issue 1, just because like it's so detailed and like there's so much going on, like everywhere you look there's something happening, and it's like colorful, and just like I'm really proud of a lot of it. But like after like working on issue number 2 and like forcing myself to, you know, kind of condense, and like, you know, it's not really like, I think I was thinking when I was doing the first one more in like visually, like in terms like this would be a good storyboard, like storyboard it would work, but like for a comic, like you can say the same thing that you have in 3 panels that you can do in 1, and like True. So like I look back and like I can see where that would work, where I could have done that here and there, but like, you know, it's my first big one and I was having a good time. So like it's both like a little teaching kind of example for me, but also I'm just so proud of how it is now. And like looking back, I don't think I would change a thing, but like if I were to do it for the first time now, I'd be like, I can see how I can do the exact same thing, but in a more cohesive, what's the word I'm looking for? Efficient manner, you know, without losing any of the spirit of how it is now.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
It's still such a great double page, you know.
It is amazing.
It's amazing doubles. Yeah, no, I love it. It's one of my favorite parts of the comic too, and like knowing all that, and we've talked about this, me and Joey. So it's like it's not like we'll never include a double page spread again, but now knowing that, like, see, it kind of bounces back to me as a writer to like make the way I could describe it a little tighter, or just because like even the way it's just kind of like montage written. It's just like this happens and this happens. Like even my first script is not as tight as I would have liked it. But it still worked. Like there was never an issue between like what was on the page and what eventually was on the actual comic page. But through all that, hold on. So you said you read the first issue before you read the one shot. And part of how I wanted to structure the first issue was with that in mind. Like, because I knew like a ton of people, their first exposure to Superguy would naturally be the first issue. So by the way, one of the ways I feel like I'm trying to rectify this is like in this Kickstarter campaign, we have the Superguy issue 1 Super Deluxe issue.
Yes.
And this Super Deluxe issue contains the one shot before the first 28 page. So you're getting like 38 pages plus of Superguy in the Super Deluxe edition. But so that just in case you missed the one shot. But so like having read the one shot, the first issue before the one shot, like were there any moments where you felt too lost, or did it still work without knowing the one shot?
Oh no, the story was perfect without the one shot.
Really?
When I went back and read the one shot, I was like, oh, so this is how they met, and this is why we're getting what we're getting in issue 2, which I definitely want to jump into, because you set up this story so well in that one shot with the very first incident of us getting to know Superguy to some degree, with him literally being a coward, being a dickhead to the president. And then we get to see how he literally treats Robot Guy like scum underneath his shoe type, really.
Yeah.
Because he just gives him the most menial things to do, and he makes him clean up after himself and things of that nature. It's just insane.
Yep.
But it's funny. One thing I want to really point out, and then I want to kind of talk a little bit about the end of the one shot. But Robot Guy leaves Superguy's apartment to go destroy the meteor, and Superguy, and he gives the excuse that before when he gets there that he was out just brushing his teeth, or not brushing his teeth, he was out at the dentist.
Yeah.
But when you look at the one shot, it's funny because that's what the excuse he gave to the president
Right.
when they were getting ready to leave, and he called him Short King. He's like, "Come on, Short King." I love that. That was great.
I'm glad you see and appreciate the callbacks because yeah, they're there. And the thing is, like, when, like, I also want to be clear on this because maybe I'm like revealing a secret, but like I want to structure the way I'm structuring the story is that like no detail is like maybe there's some throwaway things in there like gags and stuff, but maybe even not. Like if you really like put it under a microscope, I think what
Right.
I'm trying to do with all the details that we have is to like expand on them and grow, because then I feel like the universe feels more real, or just the
Yeah.
world of Superguy feels more real, and that like even if it's very silly, there's still things that have stakes and consequences, and that's part of Superguy, right? Like the president is not just going to forget that he let his daughter die or whatever happened to her. We're not entirely sure. And Superguy is, you know, he can't always not do anything. And so in the first issue, I mean, we see in the first issue, he's forced, not that he's forced, but his ego won't let him sit down, you know, when that's at stake. So like
Right.
when Robot Guy is now in the spotlight, that's not something Superguy likes. So now that's the first point where we see him like throw punches, use his powers, and do something besides like just sitting down or like making fun of little kids, you know? Like, so like
No, that actually is hilarious because when he made fun of the kid with the bowl cut, and then
bad
it was
bowl cut.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, you must not be smart." That was great, and it actually goes to show just how well of a comedian you are in just like your sketch comedy and then your writing comedy, because
things.
I feel like every joke in the story really just hit and landed. I can't think of any joke that I was just like, oh, that was a cute joke. But no, every joke legitimately made me chuckle or at least laugh out loud to some degree. So that was great too.
I love that. I think when a joke, even if it's not the best written joke, Joey's art always improves any joke or gag, and he includes stuff that is not in the script, and like he's just elevating it in that way. And like that's why I think like it's impossible not to find Superguy funny. Like if I didn't get you, Joey got you. If Joey
That's
didn't
for
get
sure.
you, I got you, or we both got you. You know, like that's
Yeah.
because the way, like, you know, I don't, once Superguy is made, yes, I send it to people. I want people to give me their opinions on it. And like before I push the final version of it out there, I'm getting opinions from people that I respect and, you know, taking it into account before like we send the final thing out there to get printed. But when we're actually working on it, I don't show my script to anybody. Not that it's like top secret or anything, but I found that in the past when I used to do that in the middle of a project, like let's say I showed it to you, Gary, you might like this and hate this, but Joey might love the same thing and hate the other thing. And now who, you know, and I trust both of you. So now who do I, and then that you just kind of have to trust yourself or whoever you're working with. So for me, it's like if Joey finds the joke funny and I'm laughing at it, or maybe I'm not laughing at it, but I still think it's funny enough that I keep it in the script, then I know, okay, it works. And I have to trust that. But I like that. And that's another reason why I like working with Joey, because that's an easy thing to trust, you know?
That is true. Yeah. So I want to touch on the end of the one shot because it ties directly into issue 2 of Superguy. So,
Sure.
like we mentioned, the beginning of the one shot, the president called Superguy and was like, "Hey, my daughter's been abducted by aliens. Can you come save her?" We go through this whole rigmarole of Superguy correcting the president about how he is more powerful than, what was it, 10 million or 10,000 and
10 million
One
elephants. Yeah.
10 million and one elephants. It's like you have to be right on these things. It's like, okay. But at the end of the one shot, we find out that the daughter, essentially, we don't know if she actually survived or not, but she was in the wreckage because Robot Guy decided he just wanted to destroy everything instead of, like, I don't know, saving the daughter.
Yeah.
But at the end of issue 1, after Superguy had kind of already like blown off the president and destroyed the White House again, the president decided to wake up his daughter, and we find out that she is now this alien hybrid type being. So the story is called Superguy, My Date with the President's Daughter. And I love kind of like the play on words that we get with that. So kind of tell us about like what the idea was for this story, and kind of like what you were hoping to hit when you decided to make issue 2 about this.
I think first and foremost, like we always want Superguy to be fun and silly and funny and something. Before you even open the book, you find it funny or you're laughing. Like the cover of issue 1 is Superguy in his robe and undies. He's giving the finger to Robot Guy. You know, it's making fun of a very famous painting on the Sistine Chapel. So if that doesn't catch your eye, then you know we're already not doing our job. Like, you know, like Joey's art is right there on the cover, so you know what you're getting inside, and you're laughing. So it's like, boom, here you go. That's for free. And
hey, there
you go. Yeah. I love that cover.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it signed. That's awesome. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So with issue 1, you know, it's 28 pages. Whether or not you read the one shot, it works. Now I have that confirmed because you told me that. But so like each issue, we want it to stand alone as like there's a larger story, and like you were just pointing out, you know, things have consequences from the one shot to issue 1 to issue 2. Absolutely, it's going to continue that way. But we only have one issue a year, and it's not in a trade yet. So we want each issue to be like a fun little, you know, adventure. Like you go back to Saturday morning cartoon, you know, episodes would be different. So a lot of shows that I remember loving, like each episode could be like a totally different genre, you know, like, and it's not like we're like purposely trying to play with that. But okay, so My Date with the President's Daughter, it comes from the Disney Channel original movie from like the late 90s. It's one of those movies, either you saw it and you remember it, you remember the theme song, or you just totally don't know what I'm talking about. And that's okay too, because to me, the title is what's important. It's just so silly.
It is, yeah.
It kind of sounds like the name of a dramatic comic book title from the past, you know, like My Date with the President's Daughter. Right. And Ahmed Rafet's cover, I think, really captures that. His romance variant, I think it captures the vibe of that.
Yes.
And so My Date with the President's Daughter, you see it right on the cover because the cover is an homage to the poster for My Date with the President's Daughter, again by Joey, and he nailed it so hard. And so on the cover, you see it's Robot Guy and Hot Mess, aka the President's Daughter, on a date. So we're giving that away. You know that's happening at some point in the comic. As you're reading it, you might be like, hey, when is this happening? Because most of the comic is actually Hot Mess and Superguy in a brawl. Like, so that's Superguy is facing the consequences of his actions, right? And so like that's like the story of this issue. We have Hot Mess, who's like, I don't want to say a ghost from Superguy's past, because like this is a recent story, but right. Like the Prez is his arch enemy, and so the Prez is going to pop up in every issue. Hot Mess is a character that's going to keep coming back. In the second issue, you're getting, you know, that one slice of the story. The bigger story is going to continue in the next issue, but the next issue is also going to hopefully feel different from issue 2. So issue 2 is almost like a rom-com in a way, but not really. Like it has elements of that, but like it's not 100% that, but there's elements for sure. And if that's what someone wants to describe it as, I'll take it. You know, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Whereas the first one was definitely more just straight up action comedy. This is, of course, an action comedy. And I almost want to say a comedy action, even though that's not correct, because the comedy always comes first in Superguy. I kind of forgot even the question you asked, but I kind of rambled, but I hope that answered.
No, you definitely answered it. But it brought up a question I want to ask Joey now. Joey, how does it feel to be drawing for a RomCom comic?
It's a pretty special feeling, Gary.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty good. The pages that were like the actual date itself were a lot of fun to draw. It was a good. I had a lot of fun with that little spread. So
yeah, I got to read a little bit of it. Because
oh, nice.
Anthony was generous to send out a preview of issue 2. So I read a little bit of it. I didn't want to read too much of it because I want to be surprised.
For sure, for sure.
But I'm very intrigued to see the interactions between Hot Mess and Superguy. I'm not going to say it, but the intro, the first 2 pages, just immediately was like, okay, I'm here, I'm ready, and I literally had to stop myself to prevent from reading further. But
no, I love that. That's how we want it to feel. Like, turn the page. You want to read more.
That is the goal, yeah.
And like even with the first issue, that's another thing. We want to get you into the action as quickly as possible. The one shot is the same thing. By the second page, Superguy is, even though it's 3 hours later, he is confronting, by the third page, he's confronting Robot Guy and his army. Right. So that's, we don't want to bore you with like too many details. Like you'll never find out, at least not in these issues, like what's Superguy's origin. Like it's not important how he got his powers right now, So like if you're looking for those answers, it's like you probably won't find them. It's more, we care more about the characters and the story, and making it funny.
Yeah, and I think the way that the story is written now, and the way, especially like the one shot, because the one shot usually, especially with it being like the prelude to the story, most people use that to kind of be like, oh, this is how this person became a superhero. Yeah. It's like with Superguy in this world, like I feel like personally it doesn't even matter.
Yes.
Because I want to see what hijinks they're going to get into. I want to see how far he's going to push Robot Guy before they fight again, type of thing. Yeah. So it's things like that. And then I love that he calls the president Mr. Prez. Like, that's great. So getting ready to kind of wrap up a little bit, but 2 questions. 1, Anthony, how far do you think you will go with Superguy? And then 2, outside of issue 2, what else do you have planned for, I guess, the issue after My Date with the President's Daughter?
Sure. I mean, how far? Like as far as we can. Like really, like it really is just like, if people keep showing up and we could get it funded on Kickstarter, then that's, I guess, the only thing we could do to, like I'm gonna. Last year I started going to a few like cons, and like that was new to me. Like just learning how to do that. I'm definitely gonna try to do some more in the next few years. I think. Building up Superguy is not going to be something that happens overnight. I think we got in like the first campaign was so there. It felt way bigger than this one. This one's funded, and we have a ton of support. But definitely like, most people have a drop off after issue 1, like in, even in bigger comics. But I think that, the goal right now is to do issue 3, do issue 4, and then have that in a trade. I would love to try for 6 issues. Maybe I'll change that. But like the roadmap right now is at least 4 issues. Because again, making comics costs a lot of money. So like that's really the biggest hurdle of all time. That and time. Like time. Time is always going to be our biggest enemy. But going off of that, so like, yeah, we want to do Superguy issue 3. I'm working on the script already. Me and Joey already talked about it. He's on board. There's no timeline for that because number 1, the script isn't even ready. And we just, got to figure out logistics for that. But hopefully, by next year, we could definitely put it out and keep up with 1 a year. What I'm trying to do, and, I can't guarantee this, it's just me, the more I'm saying it out loud, hopefully I'm going to force myself into the idea and make it happen no matter what. So Joey's working on issue 3, working on issue 4 in between those issues. So to still have something like a 6-issue trade at the end of the day, I wanted to try to work on a couple of one shots. I won't tell you about the second one, but maybe you could guess. But the first one would be so in this second issue, Superguy is watching a documentary on TV about himself, because of course that's something he would do.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
And you get like a brief snippet. We're not talking about like origins. We're seeing a young Superguy. Like he's already Superguy, but he's just like not, you know, maybe it's like 10, 15 years in the past, maybe longer.
When he
but
still
there's
had
other
that super passion to do
yeah,
good.
he's not as much of a dickhead, you know, like we don't see that yet. And there's another guy called Glorious Guy. Like, who is he? But like it's only in like one panel, and I don't consider this a spoiler. It's up there actually on the Kickstarter page if you want to see like the first I think we have the first 7 or 8 pages up there. Because I want to give people a taste of it. Like, there you go. You could check out the beginning of the comic and see for yourself. Like, I believe in it, so that's why I have no problem putting Joey's art and my words for free up there, so you could get the rest of the comic, because it's also like a 28-page comic, so it's pretty beefy.
Mm-hmm.
So one shot where I would write a series of stories that take place in Superguy's past, essentially. You know, it could be last week or 10 years ago, whatever. They would be like 1 to 4 page stories, depending on which artist I'm working with. And it would be a different artist for each story. So Joey could have some time. And of course, Joey would be involved somehow. We would make it happen, I'm sure. But like the point being, like, Joey has a little more time to work on issue 3. Superguy's still out there in between issues. And like, I think that's the best way I could like build, you know, the I don't know. It's not the world of Superguy, but like just the name recognition, and just like get people as always talking about him as possible. You know, if I could always have something coming out, I could go on podcasts and talk about him, or we just always have something. Like every issue we're getting more artists on board with like different covers and different art, especially with this campaign. And like, you know, Superguy is growing, and I feel like it's just like time that we need. So like, if it takes us 4 more years to get to a trade, that's just the way it is. But, you know, a million things could happen in the meantime. We could try to pitch it to a publisher and like do stuff like that. But I just want to get a comic made. So that's really, I'm just focused on getting stories out there. So we will keep making them as long as everyone keeps checking it out and buying it. If no one's interested anymore, then I don't know if it's possible.
If no one else is interested in Superguy, then I'm dead.
I appreciate that.
So I want to know, this is completely off topic, but say you owned a comic book store, each one of you, and we'll start with you, Joey, and then Anthony, I want you to answer.
Okay.
And you could only stock 3 comics or graphic novels or comic book runs. What would be your 3 comics, graphic novels, comic book runs that you would stock in your store?
Oh boy. I mean, I'm not, let's see. Well, keep in mind, I'm not as familiar with all the different like big stories, or, you know, well, I mean, I guess Invincible, because it's huge, you know, there's a lot of it, so I can choice. You know, and I love it, so, you know, I can be like, good choice of the 3 of that you can get in this store, that's a good one. There's a lot, and maybe the loophole could be like, well, it also includes all of the Invincible world stories, so that includes Battle Beast, and that includes like all the, you know, the different teams in that world, if I can push that loophole. If not, then, you know, just the regular Invincibles will do. Another one that I love and is long, so would also be financially good for my store, is Saga, which is incredible. And just the art is great, and the writing is great, and the characters are great. And I feel like my customers would really enjoy that. And third, I guess, I mean, Superior Spider-Man was probably the only really full run of like a story that I read of. Like I've read like chunks of Spider-Man. I read like the was it Spider-Man Blue, like the book, and like, so I'm familiar, but like the only one that I've read from like start of to end of a full run. I read during the pandemic, and it's really good. You know, like knowing enough about all the characters involved from like other mediums and everything. I'm just like, I already know who these are, so I'm familiar with what they usually are. But like, oh, now Dr. Octopus is Peter Parker. What? That's crazy. And just like seeing him kind of like realize who Peter Parker is as Spider-Man, and then also how he can do it better. And then like, I don't know, it was really interesting story and like exploration of everyone in there. So I would put that in my store.
That is a really good list. A really good list.
Nice.
Anthony, what you got?
So if I'm the answers are different if I'm trying to keep the store open or if it's just my personal favorites. I feel like my personal favorites wouldn't keep the store open.
Okay.
But
I want to hear the personal favorites then.
Okay, yeah. So the comic that it's like I recommend it to anybody, even if they haven't read comics or they don't care about reading like superhero comics specifically. Exit Stage Left, the Snagglepuss Chronicles. Yeah, this is one of my favorite comics. You know, I've been reading comics for years. I think that came out, I want to say 2016, I'm pretty sure, 2017, somewhere around that time, by Mark Russell. He's one of my favorite comic writers, Mark Russell. I pretty much any series he comes out with or graphic novel, I'm a fan of. Like, he hasn't let me down yet. I have a ton of writers like that, but like, you know, it's a short list. But that book is funny. It's smart. It feels super relevant from the time it came out till now. It catches you off guard because it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I was watching Snagglepuss every day on Boomerang. Like, you know, like, no, like if I caught it, sure. But like Snagglepuss, like generally who cares? And that's what really, but that's what really surprised me, right? Like, you know, like, have you ever like blindly went into a movie knowing nothing about it and like it turns out to be like your favorite movie, you know, like
for that me, was The Martian for me.
Nice. Okay, and that's a great movie. Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh,
that's
nice.
A great one.
Yeah. And so Snagglepuss, it's like, yes, I knew the cartoon growing up, but really what sold it to me was Mark Russell's name on it. But like everything about it is just so good. I'm always surprised when people have read it, and I'm also surprised when people have not read it, because it's just like at this point, like I feel like it needs to be like, if you like good comics, like just take the chance. Like I know it feels like such a hard sell, Snagglepuss. Like everyone's coming into my shop and they're like, "Why? We don't want to buy it." Like I'm like, "Read Snagglepuss."
Like just flip through it.
Yeah. And even then you might be like, what is happening? Because it's like Snagglepuss in the McCarthy era, and like it's very political, but like I don't know, it's so good. It's like every other narration line is like a one-liner that'll stick with you, and like you could like meditate on it because it's like so deep and like profound. Okay, that's it. That's one. Snagglepuss.
You almost sold me on that, honestly. I might have to
almost.
Go buy it.
Oh man. It's 6 issues too. No, that's the commitment. It's
perfect.
Just 6 issues.
I'm saying
yeah, it actually might be
that's
hard
6
to find.
sales right there.
Okay, so we got Snagglepuss. I always feel like I forget every comic I've ever read when this question comes up. Yeah. Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run was so good.
Absolutely amazing.
Like so good is underrated to say. Like it was just like you were reading it. You had to read 2 series simultaneously. Not that you had to, but like it makes it even better. And like on one hand, you're just getting like the Avengers already doing cool stuff. Then you're getting the Illuminati blowing up other universes. And like, it's incredible. Like every issue of those series blew me away up into and through Secret Wars. Secret Wars is amazing. Yes. So that would be a lot of comics actually. So you're like, okay, this is keeping me in business. Jonathan Hickman always sells.
That is honestly like the one that would probably keep you afloat for a while.
Yeah. Because man, I can't say enough things, and I love his X-Men run too. I guess I need a DC, so I won't pick that. Even though Snagglepuss is technically DC, I'll count it almost like as indie, but like
right, that's right.
Even though it's not. But like Hickman's stuff on Marvel, like I loved Krakoa era. I loved everything Krakoa. Maybe not everything, but most things, and especially his stuff though. And it does have connections to his Avengers run too in small ways, which is also cool. Like when they let Hickman do cool stuff, like he has seeds throughout the Marvel universe, and like he could like build on things for years. It seems like they're trying to go back to that, but I don't know. They haven't been doing it so good lately.
We'll see.
DC, like I feel like if I really want to stay in business, the easy answer is Batman. But that's almost like so much like I love The Long Halloween. That's my favorite Batman run of all time. But like that's also just like 12 issues. It's not long.
Yeah.
Long Halloween. Yeah, I almost want to say Long Halloween, but like I also want to say Watchmen. I feel like people always buy Watchmen, right? Like it is one of the best for a reason. It's also one of the earliest graphic novels I've read, and I know they say like don't make that one of the first you read. I still loved it the first time I read it. I thought it was like I always am surprised going back to Snagglepuss as like the silliest example, but when comics can surprise you and like be different than anything you were expecting, like Alan Moore's work always, like I read that and then I was like, okay, I got to read V for Vendetta now. Like I didn't know like comics could be all these things except superheroes when I was younger, right? Like I just didn't know that. And I think a lot of people, I think that's a fair assumption to make if like all you're really shown in media is like superheroes are comics. And it's kind of ironic because like Superguy is a superhero and like, but there are elements of a superhero comic in it, but I don't think it's a straightforward superhero comic. Like if you're looking for superhero stuff, it's in there, but it's not like that's not why you ordered the sandwich, let's say.
Right. Yeah. Superguy is one of those comics where I feel like if you like certain things, then you can get that from it. So like if you like superhero stuff, we got a couple pages of superhero stuff in here for you. Yeah. If you like comedy, we got a lot of comedy and a lot of jokes and stuff in it. If you like a good just adventure type of story, we got a little bit of adventure for you. You can bring that in. So it's kind of like a hodgepodge type of story where like anyone who likes a lot of different things can get a little bit of something from it. So
sci-fi too, especially the robot guy story.
Romance,
like we were talking about before.
That's great. So this has been fun. I've
Definitely
been getting to know you two and really just talk about Superguy in more detail because I enjoyed the story.
Thank you so much. No, seriously, I'm so glad you read it and enjoyed it. Like that's that's always great to hear that.
So ending out, my last question, and then we'll wrap up. But say you two table at a Comic-Con and you have someone come up and they're like, I want to get into comics. What do I do? What would be your first piece of advice? Anthony, we'll let you start.
So, I mean, depending on if they're like a writer or an artist, I guess it would be the same. I think maybe if you're an artist, it might be a little bit easier to at least draw your own comic and just do it. But my advice would just be, okay, do it. Just go ahead and make it. There's nothing stopping you. Like if you're a writer, you just need a pencil and a paper. Boom. Like literally, like that's. I don't mean that to sound like corny or like even like I feel old almost saying that, but like it's so true. It's just like just do it. Like Superguy came about because I got the anthology opportunity, but what was stopping us from doing it before then? Really nothing, and that's what it made me realize. Like nothing at all, except just like my own mental block. So like, if you're asking that question, you kind of know the answer. I feel like how do I make a comic? I don't know. Make a comic. Just try it out. That I don't know if that should. I don't want that to sound like so like trite or like throwaway. Like go make it. But it really it's not gonna. It might not be good. It might not put some thought into it. Maybe. Yeah, but exactly. It'll be out there.
Yeah,
and you can always
you'll learn something.
Yeah,
proof. That is true, and I see that a lot. A lot of people ask, well, how do you make a comic? Or I don't know where to start, and it's like. You gotta at least try. You gotta at least put it out there, because you can't improve, you can't get better until you start. That's great advice.
I also feel like if you don't put something out, I'm not saying put out everything you ever make. Like there's plenty of things I've never shown anybody, but when you put something out, I feel like something clicks in my brain, and I'm like, why didn't I see that the whole entire time until it was like out and I couldn't take it back? You know, like it
That's
always
true, yeah.
happens. Any project I've ever done. And it's just like, you can't control it. You just kind of have to, you just suddenly learn something once, you know, even if no one reacts to it, you could like view it from a different perspective, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. I appreciate you from coming on. Where can people find you, follow you, and get more of your work? So Anthony will let you start, and then we'll end up with Joey.
Sure. I'm Mr. Tony Nacho everywhere on social media, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. I guess I'm on Facebook too. I always say, like, I just always forget I'm on Facebook, even though I use it just as much as everything else now, because like there's plenty of cool comic people on there. That's how we were talking about setting this up too. So like I still like it. So I think it helps really. Like I found some anthology opportunities on Facebook. Like you know, for me, Facebook came out when I was like in high school, and like, you know, it's that kind of thing. But it's weird to come back to it, but it works. I'm also working on a website. It should be out pretty soon, MrTonyNacho.com. I might try to like step away from social media a little bit. I just feel like I'm like chronically online. I feel like if I have a site, I can do that.
Online.
Hey, air horn. But yeah, I Mr. Tony Nacho, come find me. We'll DM me. We'll talk.
Nice. Joey?
Yeah. I am Jorion's Belt everywhere. Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. I also do the art for another web comic. Well, it's not really a web comic. It's a web, I guess it's just a single panel. Check us out on Instagram, Quickies Comic. That's Quickies_comic. It's like if the New Yorker had a baby with the Far Side. So if you like either of those, you'll probably love us. And that's where you can find me. That's where I'll be.
Awesome. All the links to their social media and to the Kickstarter will be below. So go back to Kickstarter and follow them on social media.
Yes, please.
Joey, Anthony, I appreciate it. This has been fun.
This was a great time.
Yeah, you guys are always welcome on here. So next time Superguy comes out with another comic, just let me know.
Okay, yeah, we'll be
For
here.
sure.
All right, awesome. Well, again, this has been the Divergent Comics Podcast. Thank you all for listening or watching. Go read Superguy.